Welcome to your hand of the day for Monday, July 14th, 2025. In this one, no GTO Wizard. This is multiway madness. This will be the last hand we review from the World Series of Poker main event. I got some feedback from a couple of coaches I know on this one. Major screw up. Should have won a gigantic pot, won a mediocre one. So, hoping this helps all of you so that when you're in these spots, you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Let's dive in. All right, here's the spot. Let's learn from my bad play so that we don't screw these spots up in the future. So, we're in the big blind, 150-ish deep with pocket force. No GTO wizard in this video, guys. We can't do it multi-way, and this is like 4 players. But we're just going to talk through it. So, under the gun opens to min raise. Then we get a fold, and then we get a low jack call, which is interesting. When they call here, they got mostly big suited broadways, and then you can also call here with some pretty big pairs, like tens, jacks, queens, deep stacked. So their range is very tight and very good. Maybe some suited aces too. That's about it. Hijack folds. Now the cutoff, who is a super nitty wreck, decides to call as well. Okay, great. So we don't have any option but to call here and hope that we spike a 4. That's really what we're hoping to accomplish here. So we call. We go 4 ways, out of position to everybody, and we flop a boat. And my initial thinking here is, well, I can't bet into 3 players, one of which was raising with an incredibly strong range, and another that's calling with an incredibly strong range. The cutoff, I think, is whatever. Not really concerned about what he does. So I check here. And I wasn't really sure if I should contemplate a check raise if anybody bets. So I check. Original raiser checks. And now the low jack decides to bet about a third of the pot into 3 players. Cutoff folds. So I got some feedback from some guys that I know, a couple of coaches, and this is where they think like the most egregious error was. And it's that you just have to raise here. You just have to. Yeah, it looks really strong, but sometimes you have to worry less about disguising the strength of your hand and worry more about getting as much in the pot as you possibly can. And the feedback I got is like, look, if anybody has a king in this scenario, they're not going anywhere. And if anybody has a huge heart draw, they're probably not going anywhere either. So if I raise this to 9 bigs, I may get 2 calls. I may get a re-raise. And then all of a sudden, you go from 125, 150 bigs not being in the pot to, well, maybe it's not so crazy to be able to get all the chips in by the river. So big time screw up here because I just called. And then the original raiser called too. And here's where things get really just wacky, I think, and just unfortunate. So remember, I just called and we get 3 in the pot and the 10's a brick, right? And I check again. Whereas if I had raised, now I can be the aggressor and continue to bet, and a king ain't folding. And maybe a flush draw even hangs around with an ace high flush. But instead it checks around. It checks around. And then the dumbest card possible shows up. Maybe the second dumbest card possible, which is a queen. So I'm like, okay, what's the chances that this original raiser has pocket queens? I mean, that's not crazy, right? Their range is all the big cards. It's ace king and it's aces and kings and queens. They don't have kings, obviously, but queens is definitely in there. And it's in this low jack's range too. They could definitely have pocket queens. They could definitely have king queen, suited king queen, right? So I check again, and it checks around, and I scoop this measly little 19 big blind pot when I flopped a boat. And that easily could have been, man, 40 or 50 big blinds. So just a royal screw up. Just way too concerned with disguising the strength of my hand and not nearly concerned enough with really trying to push the action and thinking about targets, right? I guess that's another takeaway here is target a king. How much does your behavior change? Target two hearts. How much does your behavior change? Probably quite a bit. Quite a bit. Because those hands, if you have them, if you're in these guys' shoes, you're not going anywhere, right? So just a royal screw up. And hopefully it helps for us to talk through it so that if you find yourself in a situation like this in the future, you pick up a pot of 50 bigs instead of 20. All right, let's stop there. I'll see you next time.